I know today is a little bit different since I'm not upfront with you, but I still want to give you your notes while I work with and help people in the back. All right, so we need to turn in our notes in your packet to topic 3, cells and life processes. We had a unit on life processes earlier this year. It was our second unit. So now we are going to connect that old information to this new information. So today we're going to learn a little bit more about some organelles. We're going to learn about the vocabulary word homeostasis and connect it to those processes necessary for life. So let's go to this word organelles. Organelles are structures that are inside cells. So cells have structures called organelles that perform specific functions that allow for the movement of matter and energy to maintain life processes. That's a lot of stuff, all right? So first is the word organelle. Organelle has the word organ in it. So these are like little tiny organs that are inside of a cell, the organelles. And just like our organs, they do specific functions. They all have a job that keep the cell living. They allow matter, which is stuff, to come into the cell and out of the cell, and they also allow energy to be transformed in the cell so that the cells can stay alive. Here are some pictures of some organelles that we're going to learn about. We're not going to learn about all of them today. Instead, we are going to focus on the organelles that all cells have. But first, it's time for a quick check. So in your note packet, on the side of page 4, I need you to draw this table where you have organ at the top and job on the side. And then you're going to have room to write 3 organs and their jobs. Okay, so get that drawn in your notes. What are we going to do with this table? Organelles do specific jobs for the cell, like organs do specific jobs for our body, for your body. Write some examples of organs and the job that they do. So here I want you to write 3 organs on the side of your notes for the quick check. And then what does it do for your body? That's what we're going to write where it says job. Yep, I'm waiting for you to write it. So yes, we are doing a quick check. You're going to write 3 organs. And what do they do for your body? I know normally I'd be walking around and checking. If I'm able to, I'll pop up from the back. But if not, I still want you to do this process. That's part of learning. Am I understanding? Am I getting it? So that I can connect what I already know to what I'm about to learn. Okay, so what are some examples of organs? Well, I know we've done these before. If you look in your packet, we've talked about brain is an organ. What does it do? Its job, well, it controls everything in your body, tells your body what to do, right? Lungs is an example of an organ. What does it do? Well, it brings oxygen into your body, right? And gets rid of carbon dioxide waste. Kidneys is an example of an organ in your body. Your kidneys help filter things out of your blood that your body's going to get rid of. All right. There are lots of other examples you could have here. Maybe you have stomach. Stomachs digest food. Maybe you have muscles. Muscles move you around. Maybe you have something that I haven't even thought of. That's awesome. Keep it there in your notes because we're going to talk about this. So these organelles, remember, these are like mini organs inside a cell, do specific functions or jobs, just like the organs in our bodies. And every single type of cell has these three organelles in it. And we've actually written them in our notes before. So now it's time to learn about why. Like, why does every type of cell have it? Well, cytoplasm is our first organelle. It's in yellow, so you need to write it in your notes. It provides support to the cell. This is where chemical reactions happen, or a lot of chemical reactions happen inside the cell. Cytosol is what we call the jelly or the watery stuff that's inside the cell. And your cells are made of about 80% water. This is why it's really important to hydrate, you guys. Your body's made of a ton of water. What does it look like? So here's a picture of a cell. And the blue stuff that's in the background, the blue stuff that the cell is filled with, is the cytoplasm, this goo or this gel where lots of chemical reactions are happening. Okay, the next organelle that we find in every single type of cell, if it's a human, if it's a bacteria, if it's a fish, like the fish swimming in the back of our room, all of those cells are going to have ribosomes in them. Ribosomes are where proteins are synthesized. Synthesized is the biology word for made. It's to make something. So that means that ribosomes are making proteins. All right. Proteins in pictures usually look like just little dots. Actually, in the cytoplasm picture, you can see some. They're these just like tiny little dots. But if you zoom in even more, ribosomes have two parts. There's this dark purple part and this light purple part. We'll learn a little bit more about why in some future units. But what you really need to know is that ribosomes make proteins, and cells are made of proteins. A lot of things inside the cell are made of protein. Your body is made of protein. Your hair, your eyes, your nails, a lot of stuff in your body is made of proteins. All right. Next is cell membrane. The cell membrane is going to be in every single type of cell. It is on the edge of the cytoplasm, all right? And it controls what enters and leaves the cell. So this means that it allows for exchanges, all right? Specifically, gas exchange happens here, all right? Exchange means to trade something. The cell membrane allows gases like oxygen to come in and allows waste like carbon dioxide to go out. What does it look like? What's the structure? It surrounds the cell, or it's usually on the edge of the cytoplasm. It's flexible. It is formed of phospholipids. That word should catch your attention. We've learned about lipids and proteins before in the last unit. So those biological macromolecules are what cells are made of. And the cell membrane has lipids and proteins in it, and also cholesterol. Here is a picture of what it looks like. You might have learned in 7th grade or another class that the cell membrane looks like the cytoplasm picture. See where it's just a line? It just looks like a line around the cell. Well, in biology, we're going to go deeper. When we zoom into that line, there's a lot more going on. So we'll learn about that later, but I want you to know it's more than just a line and has lots of parts with pieces that you might recognize. Like, check out this word. We know it. Carbohydrate. So carbohydrates are in the cell membrane. Lipids are in the cell membrane. Proteins are in the cell membrane. Those are 3 of the 4 macromolecules that we learned about. All right, it's time for a quick check. So we are still in your notes on page 4. For this one, you don't need to draw this table, but I want you to write the answer. What is the name of structure number 1 and number 2? So we just took notes on these organelles. Which structure or organelle does protein synthesis? And which structure is number 2? It gives support. Yep. So on page 4, I want you to write number 1 equals Number 2 equals, use those notes that we just took. Which structures do protein synthesis? Which one provides support? Don't just wait for the answer. Give it a try. If you get it wrong, just cross it out when we go over the answer. Okay. So structure number 1, protein synthesis. Synthesis means to make something. The organelle that makes proteins inside all cells, no matter what type of cell it is, prokaryote, eukaryote, multicellular, unicellular, is the ribosome. So the answer for number 1, the structure number 1 is a ribosome. It makes proteins. Number 2, the structure or the organelle that provides support to the cell, this is straight out of our notes, right? Both of them, is cytoplasm. Cytoplasm provides support for the cell. It fills up the cell with goo to give support to all of the other parts of the cell. It's also where lots of chemical reactions happen. So structure number 2 is cytoplasm. Great job. Okay, new vocabulary word, or maybe a review for you. Homeostasis. Homeostasis, all right? Well, when I see this word, I see the word home. When I'm at home, I feel calm. And everybody's home situation is different, right? As a grown-up, I'm able to create my own home environment. So when I was a kid, I might not have felt this way, but in my own environment, in my home, I feel safe, I feel calm, I feel balanced. That's what helps me remember what this word means. So you can see we've got some yellow here. All right, so being in homeostasis means being in equilibrium. Equilibrium also has a word hidden in it it looks kind of like equal. It's a state of balance. So what's homeostasis? Well, it does have to do with equilibrium. It's maintaining equilibrium, so maintaining balance inside the cell. Tissue, organ system, and or organism. So having this calm, this balanced state. So not stressed, but this balanced environment. So let's talk about some of these pictures. Well, first of all, there's also a yellow box here. Remember, whenever we see yellow, we got to do something. So in the box under homeostasis in the center of your notes, I need you to draw a picture that will help you remember what homeostasis means. I have a couple for you to choose from if you need inspiration. Here I have some rocks that are balanced, right? This thing isn't going to fall over because there's an equal amount of weight on both sides. Okay, how do we humans maintain homeostasis? Well, when it is cold outside, like today, our bodies shiver. You can't control it. It just happens. Our body shakes. That is your body trying to maintain homeostasis. It wants to keep it warm, or like a home inside your body. It wants to keep warm, and so that is why you do that. In the summer or on a hot day, or if it's hot in the building, you sweat. Your body is doing that to try to keep cool. It wants to keep a nice home for your body, for your cells, for your organs, for your tissues, it wants to keep a stable environment. So homeostasis is part of the hierarchy of biology. Here it is again. And it has to do with this lower part of the hierarchy, keeping things in balance or equilibrium. All right, so finally, we're going to connect this back to our second unit in biology. Remember the life processes. All cells do life processes. They have to stay alive. Some cells, like unicellular cells, have to do all of the life processes by themselves. The cells in our body are like us in our class when we do group work. They split up the work so that everybody shares the responsibility. All right, so here they are. One is growth and repair. What was that again? It is growing and healing. Life process number 2, metabolism. This is doing chemical reactions. Cells do lots of chemical reactions. 3, our third life process was reproduction, have babies. Well, cells sometimes split to make new cells. That would be reproduction. Number 4, gas exchange. This is bringing in one gas and out another. We just talked about how the cell membrane does this. It allows oxygen to come in, carbon dioxide to go out. So cells do gas exchange. And then number 5, response to stimuli or the environment. Cells need to react to their environment to survive. These are some of the pictures that we use to help us remember. All right. So here we have the lion chasing the gazelle. So they are responding to their situation. Metabolism is going to be a chemical process. Gas exchange in humans a lot of times happens in our lungs. It happens at the cellular level too. Here we have a plant, and guess what? Miss Ryan brought this plant to our class, so I'm super excited about that. If you look in the back, this spider plant is here, and guess what? It has babies. This plant is reproducing, all right? And then here I have a picture of me and a picture of my daughter. My daughter is 9 now. She is not this small, okay? She has grown. She's had to repair herself whenever she's gotten a injury, right? A cut or something like that. All right, I've got a quick check for you. So in the last column of your notes, page 4, we're squeezing this one in on page 4. The hydra is budding. So here is a picture of a hydra in an aquarium. All right, that's this organism. And this is its little bud. This bud, it is growing a genetically identical clone, which will be released soon. What life process are we showing here? Where we have the hydra and it is creating this clone that will be released and float off to go live somewhere else. So look at those life processes that we just wrote down. Which one does this sound like? Growing a little clone that's going to float away and live somewhere else. Give it a guess. There's a couple ones that you might have chosen, but there's one that is the best answer here. And if you get it wrong, just cross it out and fix it. Okay. Our answer here is reproduction. This hydra is growing a little baby, all right? A little clone that is exactly the same as the parent. That piece is going to break off, float away, and attach somewhere else and grow. That is reproduction. It made another cell, right? Or another set of cells, another hydra. All right. So if you don't believe me that cells do life processes, I am going to tell you about a paramecium. A paramecium is a unicellular cell. That means it is by itself. It doesn't have any other cells, and that means it has to do every single life process alone. So let's go through it. How does it do life process 1 and 2, growth and repair and metabolism? Well, it takes in food from the environment. Right here, you can see there's something called the mouth pore. Yeah, this cell has a mouth. And it brings in food into its mouth, which then goes into the cell. Okay, life process number 3, reproduction. This type of cell reproduces just like the hydra we just learned about, all right? I'm sorry. I got myself confused. It does not reproduce by the hydra. The hydra does budding, which sounds, I saw that B and that kind of tripped me up. This type of cell does something called binary fission. That's where it just splits in half. So it doesn't grow a little buddy like the Hydra. Instead, it splits in half and has two identical individual cells, which is kind of like the Hydra. All right, number 4, gas exchange. Well, this cell has a cell membrane. So oxygen goes into the cell, all right, and carbon dioxide comes out of the cell. That's waste. How does that happen? It goes through the cell membrane. Okay. Last is respond to environment. Well, this paramecia can move. There are all these little hairs around the outside of the cell, and they are called cilia. Sometimes people call them cilia, because they wiggle all around, but these allow the paramecium to swim. So they all move around and let that paramecium swim through the water to catch food or to try to get away from predators that are going to eat the paramecium. All right. That is it for our notes packet for today. All right. The group in the back might still be working just like usual, right? We want to be respectful so they have the same, focus and attention that you got. So I'm going to ask you to quietly put your notes packet into your binder, quietly put your binder back on the shelf, and start getting ready for, leaving our class for today. Thank you so much for being flexible. I know this was different. This isn't what we normally do. I'm usually up here with you, but with Miss Ryan out today, I still wanted to make sure that we were able to get our notes done. So have a great day, everybody. And again, please be quiet and respectful of the group working in the back.